Hey everyone, so I've been seeing on the headlines quite a bit the topic of unrealized gains. So I decided to see what it was about, and I came across a good informative video that shows how this policy would hurt the vast majority of middle class if it were to go into effect, especially in home ownership. I was surprised to see that Canada has already implemented a similar policy, so this isn't a far-fetched idea of it happening here in the United States.
Talk today about why this proposal to tax unrealized gains is a terrible idea. Let's start with a little bit of history. The income tax comes into play in the U.S. in 1913. The top rate at that time, 7%. You know what you had to be making in that time? $500,000. Now, if you fast forward and adjust for inflation, that was $11 million. The reason I share that with you is that the proposal right now coming out of the Kamala Harris campaign to tax unrealized capital gains is that right now they're saying, oh, it's only on the richy rich. Y'all, it never stops there. The government starts with one group and peters it down until it attacks all of us. So if you're thinking, but Lee Brown, I'm not wealthy, I don't care about capital gains, I don't have a lot of money. Okay, you may actually have some. Let me show you why. Let's talk about your mama. Mama bought her house 50 years ago for $60,000 because she was wealthy. That was brick. It was so nice. And she and your pawpaw lived together, raised some kids, had a great life. Well, pawpaw passed. And so then she became a widow. Well, she didn't want to leave that house because you came home, you and the grands and the great grands and her Bible study group, and she loved that house. But because that beautiful little brick home was sitting on about 5 acres, which would be small back then, wasn't even a farm, it was just enough for her gardens and hang out her wash. That house on that little bit of acreage in today's world is worth, let's just say, $600,000. And Mama hasn't moved. Now, she's getting hammered on property taxes. Different video, different day. What you'll see here is that her gain, y'all, is $540,000. Now, before you start getting particular about her basis and all of that, we're just using rough numbers here, all right? Now, because Mama is in her primary residence, there is a provision in the tax code that gives you a capital gains exemption on part of your gains. But because Pawpaw's dead and she's a widow, she's going to get an exemption of $250,000. If you're wondering why it's so small in an era of inflated home prices, it's because that capital gains exclusion came in under the Clinton administration decades ago and has never been indexed again, which is a problem because our markets have gone up a lot since then. So, math geniuses, you'll see here that leaves us with $290,000 in a pretty rough gain. Now, if this unrealized capital gains tax goes through, it's proposed at 25%. Now you're realizing Mama's got to come up with 25% of this number. So just under $75,000. Where's she going to get it, y'all? This is the problem with taxing unrealized capital gains. She's not liquid on these gains. She lives in this house. And yes, real estate could be a part of this proposal.